Picture this. You're 15 years old. You wake up in a color you can't remove, on an island you don't recognize, and someone hands you a bag with random weapon inside. Could be a machine gun, could be a pot lid. Then the government tells you that exactly one of your 42 classmates has to be alive in 3 days, or everyone dies. And before you ask, yes, this is a school trip. Today we're talking about Battle Royale, manga adaptation by Taguchi Masayuki, based on the novel by Koushun Takami. 15 volumes of survival horror that somehow manages to be more disturbing the longer it goes on. I came to this one backwards. Read the novel first, watch the film, and then finally got around to the manga, now that the new deluxe editions are coming out. And honestly, each version hits differently. But we're here for the manga, so let's get into it. Quick ask before we go any further, if you haven't subscribed yet, now's a good time. It's free, it takes 2 seconds, and it genuinely helps. I'll wait. Welcome back. So here's the setup. In an alternate history Japan under a totalitarian government called the Republic of Greater East Asia, the state runs an annual program called the Program. Creative. 42 third-year middle school students, meaning 14 and 15 years old, are abducted, taken to a sealed island or location, fitted with explosive collars, and forced to kill each other until one survives. The class at the center of this story is Class B of Shiroiwa Junior High. Our main characters are Shuya Nanahara, idealistic, half-decent at guitar, completely unprepared for this, and Noriko Nakagawa, the girl he's trying to protect from the moment it starts. The third piece of the central triangle is Shogo Kawada, a transfer student who is clearly carrying something heavy from before the story began. What makes Battle Royale work as a story isn't the kill count. It's the way it forces each character into an impossible moral corner. Do you trust anyone? Can you afford to? What does it cost you when you're wrong? Some of the 42 fight back against the system. Some break immediately. Some form alliances. Some lose their minds. The manga traces most of them, which is both its greatest strength and the reason it runs 15 volumes. The antagonist isn't just a system, though the system is monstrous. The real human villain is Kazuo Kiriyama, a student who volunteers for the program, has zero emotional response to anything, and is effectively a one-man extinction event. He's terrifying, not because he's cruel, but because he's completely empty. And then there's Mitsuko Souma, who is arguably more complex, a girl whose violence comes from a place of deep damage. And the manga gives her enough backstory that you understand her without forgiving her. The endgame involves Shuya, Noriko and Shogo mounting an actual resistance against the government handler running the program, Kimpatsu Sakamoshi. It's the point where Battle Royale shifts from survival horror into something closer to political thriller. Taguchi Masayuki's art is doing a lot of heavy lifting here, and most of the time it does it well. The line work is detailed without being overcrowded. Characters are distinctive, you can tell 42 people apart, which matters a lot in a cast this size. The action sequences are brutal and clear, there's no ambiguity about what's happening in a fight, which is important when the violence needs to land with weight rather than just chaos. Where the art really earns its keeps is in the quieter moments. Taguchi knows when to pull back. A character sitting alone on the rooftop at night. Two people deciding whether to trust each other across a corridor. The negative space in those panels communicates more than the screen tone heavy action pages ever could. That said, some of the more extreme violence edges into visual noise. A few of the deaths late in the series are rendered with so much detail that they start to feel gratuitous rather than meaningful. It's not a consistent problem, but it is there. When we look at the characters and the themes, let's start with Shuya. He's a good protagonist in the sense that he's genuinely decent. And in a story this dark, decency reads as almost radical. But he's also the least interesting person in the room for most of the series. He's reactive. Things happen to him and around him, and he responds with empathy and determination. That works. It just doesn't fascinate. Noriko is more interesting than the narrative gives her credit for. She's often framed as someone to be protected, but her scenes of actual decision-making, choosing to trust Shogo before Shuya does, her quiet emotional intelligence, suggests a character the story keeps slightly underutilized. And Shogo Kawada is the best character in this manga. He's already survived the program once. He knows exactly what it costs. And he helps Shuya and Noriko not out of friendship, but out of something colder. Purpose. A score to settle. Watching the gap between his surface calm and what's underneath is one of the best things the series does. Kazuo Kiriyama gets a backstory reveal that splits readers. Some find it genuinely unsettling, some find it a cheap explanation for what was more compelling as pure blankness. Thematically, Battle Royale is about what systems of power do to people when survival is weaponized. It's asking whether individual humanity can survive state-sponsored dehumanization. And underneath that, it's asking whether trust is possible when the stakes are everything. The positive, the characterization scope. 42 students, and the manga gives meaningful page time to probably 30 of them. The effort to make each death matter is consistent and impressive. Mitsuko Souma's writing. She could have been a simple psycho girl archetype. Instead, the manga shows you the specific abuse and abandonment that shaped her without ever excusing what she does. She's terrifying and she's sad, and she's both at the same time. The trust mechanics pacing. The moments where characters decide to work together, and the moments where those alliances fracture are genuinely tense. The manga understands that hope is more dangerous than despair in a story like this, because hope gives you something to lose. Some negative criticisms? The back half is pacing, so the second half's pacing. Once the cast has thinned out to the final survivors, the series drags. The endgame confrontation sequences would hit harder if they were shorter. Several of the women in the class are given traumatic backstories, defined primarily by sexual violence. The intent is contextualization, but it becomes a repetitive pattern that starts to feel lazy. Who should read this? Read this if you came to manga through survival horror and want something with genuine political depth. If you saw the film and want the full story, the manga gives secondary characters the space the film couldn't. If you read Gans, Liar Game, or Imawa no Kuni, No Alice, and wanted something more psychological weight, then this is for you. Skip this if you are not prepared for sustained, detailed depiction of teenagers dying violently. And if you need fast-paced narrative, this is a long, slow burn that rewards patience. My personal verdict, 8.2 out of 10. Battle Royale, the manga earns a high score because it does something most survival horror manga doesn't manage. It makes you care whether people live or die, and it earns that care by actually spending time on who they are before they become casualties. The second half pacing issues and the repetitive female character trauma are real problems. They're not deal breakers, but they stop this from being a masterpiece. What it left me with? A specific kind of grief for the version of reality where 42 ordinary kids didn't end up on that island. The best thing Battle Royale does is make the ordinary feel precious. And it does that by destroying it methodically for 15 volumes. Thanks for watching, and if the question that's been sitting with me since finishing this one is sticking with you too, it's this. Shogo survives the program once and comes back voluntarily? Not because he has to, because he chooses to. Think about what that says about him. I'm still not sure if I've worked it out. If you like this video, hit the like button. It helps more than you think. Subscribe if you want more of this kind of deep dives. And drop a comment, who in the cast did you connect with the most? I'm Jan, and see you in the next one.